Hello, I am Sylvie Rinaldi,
And I'm Ken O'Brien.
and this is Town Hall Tailgate. I am joined by Ken. He is a guest host today because Karina is camping right now on the beach. So
Sounds like a good time.
yeah, so I suckered Ken in to
It's a good way to put it.
to join me as a guest host.
Glad to be here.
He is a resident of the town of Montgomery and a friend of mine, and attended today's planning board meeting, so we could talk about it.
Sure.
Cool.
What you got tonight?
All right, so it was a
Short and sweet,
short and sweet.
but a
Yes.
lot going on.
No, there was a lot. We're gonna save the kicker for the end,
Sure.
but we won't take too long to get there.
No.
So first, in the public comment, I was out of screen. Sorry.
There you go.
Thanks. So the first thing on the what day is today? August 8th, 9th.
Ninth.
Tonight is August 9th, and we are tailgating the Montgomery Planning Board meeting. I always have to say that, so don't forget. In the public comment tonight, Ken read a letter on a project that it was not on the agenda, but was on a prior agenda. And the planning board does let people speak to projects, even though they might not be on that night's agenda. And it was the Hydrovac project, which we
Right.
talked about a couple meetings ago, which is on the end of Ridge Road. And it's a company that was going to truck in the slurry from digging out construction sites,
Yeah.
have it evaporate, and then move it over to build warehouses and other things on the other side of the road.
Definitely.
Did I get that?
Generally, yeah. I think the site plan that they have right now would be for this company to do hydro excavation. It's high pressure water, excavating in construction sites. They soak up or vacuum up that debris into a truck. They bring it to a place where it's either dried on the ground or in a retention pond. And then the solids, if remediated correctly, can then be used as fill
Right.
for construction.
Right. So Karina and I spoke in the last Town Hall Tailgate about the oversight of whether that slurry that was coming out of the truck, how it was going to be confirmed that it wasn't polluting the water, etc.
Correct.
But I think you're a really good person to speak to this because you don't live that far away from where this is and have a vested interest in it being near you. And I want to know if you can speak to the letter that you presented tonight.
I just, we knocked on doors and we talked to our neighbors and we said, hey, this is what's happening to the best of our knowledge, and is this something you want in your backyard? And a lot of people in the neighborhood, which isn't very large, said, no, I don't want this in my yard. For a number of reasons. Obviously, water quality is at the top of the list. Public safety, because of our kids who have to walk to the bus stop, to get onto their bus for Valley Central schools. And then of course there's always that, like, well, what is this going to do to my property value, right? And I don't begrudge anybody for owning property and developing it for themselves, but it has to be in a way where it doesn't take away the quality of life of everybody else in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's where my point of contention really stems from. And I felt that it was very necessary for us to stand in front of the planning board, and I have now twice, and shared my thoughts. This time we were able to say I had, I think it was 16 other signatures from the neighborhood on there.
Yeah.
We also had members of the community in our neighborhood actually show up tonight to hear what was going on in the planning board, and that's necessary at times
Yeah.
to hopefully facilitate a dialogue of why we're going about doing these things,
Yeah.
how we're going about doing these things, and what's best for our neighborhoods.
Yeah. There were some good points that you brought up in the letter that I
Appreciate
want to
that.
reiterate.
Sure.
The first one is that you just said it right now, that on Ridge Road, children are walking to and from the bus stop, and it wasn't clear when they did the traffic study if they did it during peak school hours when there'd be children walking, because these are huge trucks
Very
that
large.
would be leaving and coming back right about the time that the school kids were coming. So I feel like that was something that should have been included in their traffic study, and they didn't
Yeah.
put it, and I felt like that was
We noticed, we
very neat to see.
we walk or bike or run the road
Yeah.
pretty much on a daily basis, and we saw the traffic study there, and we had no idea who had placed it there.
Right.
And it was not always intact for the roadway, you
Right.
know what I mean? It had to be resecured at some point, and was. And this is just from us, being in our neighborhood,
Right.
And that raised some concerns as to the accuracy of the traffic study.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, you saw that it wasn't connected, and I don't know what is it? Is it like
It kind of looks like a tube, like a hose. So then when you drive over it,
is it
probably
like
from an
attached to
air,
a phone or something?
there's like
or?
a box.
A box.
Like the black box.
Oh.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen like a traffic study.
I never knew that's what it was.
Okay, all right.
And I guess it counts. It counts cars.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you presented that letter on behalf of your neighbors. I'm sure they were really appreciative of it too.
I think they are.
The next topic that came up was it's called Jupiter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sure why. This is
I love the name.
I
don't know
love
who comes
it.
up
What
with them,
Jupiter
but
1, you can just make it up. That's what they said.
Sure.
They just come up with it.
That's great.
I feel like there's always a space theme or like some type of, I don't know. Jupiter 1 is not related to that, saying it's an event space on Drury Lane where they're converting a old dairy barn, a historic dairy barn, into an event space. And they're just continuing the public hearing and going through the site plans, and I just love this idea.
I think it's really good. I
Yeah.
think it provides a way to enhance what's already there.
Yeah.
And take something that is in need of some love
Right.
and put it forth in a way where it brings some more character to the community. I like it.
I hope that they can come up with ways that like Montgomery can support this new business.
Sure.
Like whatever our town government can do, our small business council, however to get this new business.
We can hold events there ourselves. It'd be nice.
The ribbon. I hope there's like a ribbon cutting and who knows what else. So I'm really excited for them. And then
Drum roll.
Drum roll.
I mean, this is probably like if you look at the agenda tonight, there was only 2 items, and this one definitely gets a lot of attention on social media about this particular project.
Should we say what it is?
We're obviously talking about Quick Check.
Quick Check.
Quick Check.
Okay.
For better or for worse,
Right.
right?
So tonight, the planning board read out loud a letter that they are sending to the zoning board, and tonight they approved the letter. So they had a motion to approve the letter. They clearly had worked together on it to write the letter.
Yeah.
And there was a little back and forth about whether they were going to read it or not, and sorry. Everything okay? Off camera? Oh. Okay. Sorry, lost track. So they read this letter, and there was a little question about whether they should read the letter because they didn't know if they wanted to wait to the zoning board.
And I appreciated that point of view from the planning board because if I'm on the ZBA, do I want to find out on social media? But then I was really happy that the planning board decided to read the letter
Me too.
publicly tonight, so that way there was no ambiguity.
Right.
We have this. We've thought about it.
It's public record.
Here it goes.
Right? We were just gonna foil for it the next day anyway. So, which means that we were going to ask for the Freedom of Information law to give it to us and ask for it.
That all being said.
Okay. So the planning board wrote in this letter that they are not in favor of the Quick Check on the corner of 17K and 208. They listed a variety of different reasons. It was an extremely well-written, thoughtful letter.
Succinct and pretty perfect, actually. I think it really did reflect the public comment and feeling about this particular project.
Right. It also pointed to the laws and the regulations that we have. So, for example, the size and scope of the project is not in line with our current zoning laws, which is why the project was going to the zoning board.
Right.
They said, just to remind you, it's our zoning laws limit gas stations to 1,000 square feet, and this was a 6,000 square feet application, so that's the difference in size and scope.
It's a pretty big difference.
They also just spoke a little bit about that intersection being the gateway to our town and wanting something aesthetically pleasing instead of a corporate kind of box, and my heart just burst out of happiness.
Well, after the chairman got done reading it, I actually wanted to applaud, but I didn't know if that was appropriate.
I didn't know either, but
But maybe we should, right? There you go.
There it is. I was just very pleased with this, and I'm really happy that the planning board took that stance.
Sure.
It was a good way to end the meeting.
I think it was. And I think it was something that has been given a lot of people pause to think about for a variety of reasons for the last couple months.
Yep.
It's been on the radar, so to speak, and I think that's a good way to kind of close that one out.
I think so. And I think that's a good way to kind of end this.
So,
But we have some, just some end of things.
where can we see you coming up this week? See, I've watched before.
So I'm on the internet.
Mhm.
I have a website. It's sylvierinaldi.com. You can find most of my more up-to-date things on my Facebook, which is Rinaldi for Montgomery, or Sylvie Rinaldi for Montgomery Town Board, because I am running for Montgomery Town Board this November.
Really?
Yes!
You don't say.
But you're not.
I am not.
No.
I am just a average guy, I guess. But you can catch me tomorrow morning on Wall Radio, 105.7 at about 8 o'clock. I'll be representing RPM and discussing development in Orange County.
That's awesome. So Wall Radio?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
That's everybody knows that's out there.
Okay.
So-
I don't know. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing you on the radio
Thank
tomorrow
you.
morning, and I'll let you go home so that you can go prep, make sure you do all your homework.
Yeah, I gotta do some homework tonight. All right.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Take care.
Good job.